My name is Sarah. I am 28 years old and I work as a teacher at an elementary school. I have always loved my job because teaching young children has brought so much joy and fulfillment to my life. Every morning, I would arrive at school early, prepare lesson plans, and greet my students with a smile. The school became my second home, a place where laughter and learning intertwined. 2 years ago, my life changed when I met someone new at the school. His name was David, and he had just been hired as a math teacher. He was 30 years old, tall with dark brown hair and warm eyes that made everyone feel comfortable. David was intelligent, funny, and kind traits that quickly won him the admiration of students and teachers alike. I remember how nervous I felt the first time he walked into the teacher's lounge and introduced himself to everyone. He greeted me with a friendly smile and said, "Hi, I'm David. It's great to be here." At first, we were just colleagues exchanging polite hellos and sharing casual conversations during lunch breaks, but soon our interactions grew into something more. David would often stop by my classroom after school to talk about his day or ask for my advice on lesson plans. We shared stories, laughed over silly student anecdotes, and found ourselves staying later and later just to spend time together. I started to look forward to these moments and realized that David was no longer just a colleague to me. He was someone I deeply cared about. I had never been in a serious relationship before, and my friends often teased me about being too focused on my career. But with David, everything felt different. He was thoughtful, always paying attention to the little things. On particularly stressful days, he would bring me my favorite tea without me even asking. One afternoon, after a long day of teaching, he surprised me with a note that simply read, "You're doing an amazing job, Sarah. Don't forget it." That small gesture meant the world to me. One Friday evening, David and I stayed late at school grading papers together. We laughed, shared stories, and as the night went on, the atmosphere between us shifted. There was a moment of silence, and then he looked at me with those kind eyes and said, "Sarah, I've really enjoyed spending time with you. I know this might be sudden, but would you like to go out for dinner this weekend?" My heart skipped a beat, and I couldn't help but smile. "I'd love that," I replied. Our first date was simple yet perfect. We went to a small Italian restaurant in the city. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and I felt more comfortable with him than I ever had with anyone. By the end of the night, as we walked through the quiet streets, he took my hand and held it gently. It felt right. As weeks turned into months, David and I grew even closer. We spent our weekends exploring local parks, watching movies, and cooking meals together. My friends noticed how happy I was and joked that I was finally living my happily ever after. But just as life seemed to be perfect, a shadow cast itself over our happiness. One afternoon, David came to see me at my classroom during lunch. His usual smile was replaced with a serious expression. "Sarah, there's something I need to tell you," he said. My heart sank as I watched him struggle to find the right words. "I haven't been completely honest with you. I'm married." The words hit me like a wave, leaving me breathless. I stared at him, unable to process what he had just said. "Married?" I whispered. He nodded, eyes filled with regret. "Her name is Emily. We've been married for 4 years, but things haven't been good for a long time. We're practically strangers living under the same roof." A mix of emotions surged through me: anger, betrayal, and confusion. How could I have missed the signs? How could he have let me believe we had a future together? "Why didn't you tell me from the start?" I asked, my voice trembling. He looked down at the floor. "I didn't want to lose you. I know it was wrong, but being with you has been the only thing that's made me feel alive." I stood up, trying to steady myself. "David, I can't do this. I can't be the other woman." Tears welled up in my eyes as I walked out of the room, leaving him standing there, silent and remorseful. The days that followed were some of the hardest of my life. I felt broken, questioning everything I thought I knew about David and about myself. My friends noticed the change in me and tried to offer comfort, but I couldn't bring myself to tell them the truth. I spent nights replaying our conversations, wondering if there had been any clues I had missed. A week later, David reached out, asking to meet one last time. Reluctantly, I agreed. We met at a quiet park where we had spent many happy afternoons. He looked tired with dark circles under his eyes. Sarah, I've spoken to Emily, he said. We're going to separate. I can't keep living a lie, and I don't want to hurt you any more than I already have. I felt a mix of relief and sadness. David, I care about you, but I need time. I can't just go back to how things were. He nodded, understanding. I'll wait for you, Sarah, no matter how long it takes. As I walked away from that conversation, I felt a sense of closure. Life doesn't always go the way we plan, and love isn't always simple. But I knew that I had made the right choice, one that honored my values and my heart. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share.